Aita, for telling my son's friend the truth about why his mom doesn't want him playing with my son. My son and his friend are both in the second grade. We moved into the area in the middle of COVID, and my son quickly made friends with a boy in the neighborhood. For the first couple months it was fine, they got along perfectly. I put the house in order and was able to work from home, so childcare wasn't an issue. The problem was when my husband got back from his deployment. He was the one to pick my son and his friend up from school that day. My son insisted because he wanted to show off his other dad, the Marine. My husband was also the one who answered the door when friend's mother arrived. She was perfectly cordial and then left with friend in tow. The next Monday my son comes home looking forlorn, and when I ask him what's wrong, he tells me friend's mother doesn't want friend to play with my son anymore. I ask her what the issue is, and she says that she doesn't want her son to get the idea that our lifestyle is an acceptable one and that she doesn't want him to get confused with homosexual ideology. Lo and behold, a couple days later friend comes up to me and asks me why she doesn't want him to play with my son, and I tell him your mom doesn't like the fact that me and Curtis's not real name other dad are two men who are married and in love. He asks why that is, and I say, because she is prejudiced. Later that night I get an angry call from friend's mom demanding to know why I called her a bigot to her own son, why I'm pushing my ideology on him, telling me that I'm an influence that will push friend away from God, etc. She posts this long screed on the Parents of Generic Suburban Atlanta Elementary School Facebook group about how we should solve disputes among the parents and not drag the kids into it. I replied on the group asking what I was supposed to do, lie to her son? She claims that by calling her prejudiced I was disrespecting her religious beliefs, and then went into this whole screed about her First Amendment rights. I told her not to make her prejudice my fucking problem, and sure as shit don't make it my son's problem. Then the admin for the Facebook group took down the post because the other parents were piling on both sides and it was getting heated. Aita. Now for some comments. NTA. She's planting the seed of homophobia in her child's mind and you called her out on it. Good for you. Her poor child. I know. They lost a friend due to their mom's backwards views, and they probably are going to have said views shoved down their throats. NTA. You told the truth. I feel bad for that poor kid though, hopefully you gave him a fighting chance to learn not to be a homophobe one day. This. Remind homophobic mom that lying is a sin and pushes her away from God. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Luke 6:37. I hate how there are so many Christians who promote hate and bigotry over the love and acceptance their God is supposed to be about. One of the 10 commandments even is love thy neighbor as thyself. But reminding those who practice Christianity about the why and how they are being bad Christians has never worked for me in the past. There seems to be two types of people, the ones who practice the love and acceptance of their Lord religion, and those who practice the judgment and condemnation of their religion. Sorry for the rant. I just hate the hypocrisy. NTA. Though I'm disappointed there were parents taking her side after that repugnant post. NTA. I'm an old conservative Christian woman, and this woman is just plain mean. The fact that your family exists and the children get along doesn't in any way disrespect her religious beliefs. She gets to continue to practice them in the same way as always. What will alter her son's faith is the fact that she's missed the many places in her Bible that exhort us to love one another and all those stories about Jesus ministering to everyone and not just those who agreed with him on 100% of his opinions. If I could give you gold, I would. Live and let live. Now for the next story. Aita, for sending a strongly worded private message to an individual that uses our macarons for her own online baking business. I, 24F, started this small online baking business almost 3 years ago. I'm currently pursuing an advanced degree and have given all the rights to my older sister, 27F. We're officially registered as a bakery in our town. I am responsible for updating the monthly calendars and editing photos that are being posted on our Insta and FB. I'm in charge of the PR, so I have access to both accounts. I noticed that we had a regular customer who frequently orders our French macarons. No big deal. Then I got a little sus when she started asking for specific colors while sending cake inspos. When I did a little digging, lo and behold, she has her own online cake business too. She was also using our macarons on her cakes. Repeatedly. At first, I was like, huh. This isn't new. I asked someone else to properly credit us, and we got tagged repeatedly for the macarons we made. It was so simple, so I messaged the said customer and asked the same thing. The customer agreed. Well, I just discovered that what this girl did was literally tag us in a single photo. We don't pop up at all on the caption, no mention of us, or our name alongside the macarons that we made. We can't even share it. It was pretty obvious that she didn't want us to have any association with her cakes. TBH, my sister's macarons were the reason her cakes look well made. This is probably no big deal for you guys out there, but this is a small town, and only my sister and another local bake shop makes them. They're pretty difficult to master. I got upset as hell when she recently posted a photo of her latest menu featuring our macarons. It literally says 6 PCS macarons on her cakes. That's the quantity that we sell. I saw red and immediately typed this message: "Hi, ma'am. We saw your posted photos, and I think it's a bit unfair to advertise that you include 6 PCS macarons on her cakes, but nowhere did it say that we baked them for you, albeit unknowingly and without our permission. We had to do our own digging. Those are our shop macarons. You are willingly deceiving your customers by purposely omitting that another small local business produces these high-quality baked products for your cakes. See first photo, her menu. If you're going to continue using our French macarons for your products permanently, it is only right that you place our name alongside the macarons each time you use them. E.g. 6 PCS macarons by our shop, for example. See second photo, a customer baker who featured our name plus product on her post. A good baker knows how to properly credit the local businesses that she employs. It's a small thing, but very thoughtful nonetheless. I hope you will do the same for your future transactions with us. My sister thought I was being rude, but I told her that I was just being stern. Her point was that our product is no longer ours once she puts it into her cake. I told her that it's different when it comes to baked goods. She's literally taking credit for her, sis, hard work. So, Aita. Edit, forgot to say that every time we get credited on our products, they get thanked plus shared on our page for exposure. It's how we support other local businesses. It's common courtesy. Now for some comments. NTA. You handled it perfectly. For your sister, maybe point out that it's a common practice. Many places feature Starbucks or proudly serve Krispy Kremes. Sister is not an cake lady is. I would also point out that their professionals know with a value and worth to her hard work. I know some people, like bakers and artists and such, have trouble with things like pricing or having the courage to go after those who use their items to promote their own business, often because it's no big deal or they're not good enough to be able to make a fuss over something like that and such. And thus they get taken advantage of until it's too late, and there will be debate on who's the user maker and such. You wouldn't want people who order from her to see you selling things she made and promoted on her social media and think you stole her ideas and such. NTA. If she doesn't respond privately, then you can immediately comment on his photo. Or you can ban her from your store. Right, or just charge her double for your product. Puts a new spin on the value of exposure. NTA. It would be one thing if you made and sold cake decorations specifically and she was a buyer, but you're both bakeries. Presumably, you also make cakes. Honestly, it's deceitful as hell to do it without asking in the first place, but you're willing to overlook that if she would just give credit. She's apparently not willing to do that. Yep, we bake all kinds of stuff. Cakes, brownies, cookies, you name it. Even cakes with macarons on top. Now for the next story. Aita, for telling my daughter that she doesn't have to forgive my wife. My 35F daughter Amelia, F12, has ulcerative colitis and her body has a talent for building antibodies against medicines. She's had UC for 2 years now and hasn't been able to stay on a medicine for longer than 6 months. She built antibodies against the medicine she was on and is in a bad flare, so we've been in the hospital since Monday. Wednesday, my wife Jessica, 36F, and I were both at the hospital and only left for food, clothes, and never left her alone at the hospital. Being at the hospital alone terrifies her. Then on Thursday Jessica didn't come after work because she was tired. We got into an argument about it, but she swore she'd be here yesterday. Amelia was scheduled to get an NG tube and PICC line yesterday and was scared and asked for both of us to be there. When she was FaceTiming Jessica, she promised Amelia that she'd be here in time. Then yesterday when it was time to get the PICC line, Jessica still wasn't at the hospital. I checked Life 360 and saw that she was still at home. Amelia cried the entire time because her mom wasn't there. Then a few hours later, it was time for the NG tube. Jessica was still at home. Amelia sobbed and begged us to wait because she wanted her mom. She cried and fought so much that they had to wait until this morning to do it. Called Jessica last night after Amelia was in bed, argued again, and I told her to be here this morning. This morning, they sedated Amelia and started to get everything ready for the NG tube and Jessica was still at home. They ended up having to restrain Amelia because she was fighting so much. Jessica finally showed up 4 hours after the NG tube when Amelia was asleep. When Amelia woke up and saw Jessica there, she immediately told her to get out. Jessica left and came back a few hours later with bags of gifts for Amelia. She was again told to leave. Jessica asked if there was anything she could do to make her feel better, and Amelia said she'd feel better if you left her alone. I talked to Amelia and told her that it's understandable that she's mad at Jessica and that she doesn't have to forgive her right away. She needs time to work through her feelings, and that's completely fine. Jessica texted her and asked what she could do to get her to forgive her, and Amelia texted her back and said, "Mommy said I don't have to forgive you." Now Jessica is mad that I'm not trying to convince Amelia to forgive her. Now for some comments. NTA, you did a great job not invalidating your daughter's feelings. What's up with your wife though? She forgot and thinks that she can buy her daughter's forgiveness rather than acknowledge she fucked up and her daughter's hurt feelings are valid. So NTA, it is a good lesson to teach her young daughter that you don't have to forgive somebody just because they're family. Also good for you for staying with your daughter. Info, what was Jessica doing at home? Why did she say she would be there but not show up until it was over? Yesterday her excuse was that she forgot, and today it was that seeing people vomit makes her nauseous. Amelia throws up a lot after getting an NG tube. Now for the next story. Aita, for not wanting my mill to teach our daughter her native language and cancelling her ballet. My husband is saying I'm being unreasonable. My daughter learning multiple languages is important to me, but I don't want to cancel her favorite extracurricular activity for lessons she'll probably find boring. So I'm Hispanic, but I was born and raised in the United States. My parents don't speak English the best, but they're like 25% fluent. Because of that and the fact that my daughter spent a lot of the first years of her life at their house as a form of childcare, she speaks Spanish very well for a 4-year-old. Even better than me at times. In September of 2020 she started preschool instead of staying at my parents' house. She goes to preschool in the morning and then goes to ballet in the afternoon. This has been working out well for us, and she loves ballet more than anything. If we're late she'll cry. My husband has never really liked the fact that our daughter can speak Spanish very well but can't speak his native language, Dutch, that well. Sometimes when my daughter is excited and talking fast she will slip into Spanish and he'll get mad that she didn't remember the few Dutch words he taught her. His parents lived in the States and raised him here but moved back to the Netherlands in 2018. My husband doesn't speak Dutch that well and can't teach anything more than a few basic sentences. He recently told me he wants to cancel our daughter's ballet so she can take Zoom lessons with her grandma to learn Dutch. That it's a great bonding experience and she's at the right age to learn a new language, and if we keep waiting even a few more years she could never be fluent in Dutch. I told him that canceling her ballet for language lessons is crazy, and why is it so important to him that our daughter learns Dutch? He can barely speak it as his parents are fluent English speakers and didn't actively teach him. He's not even conversational, just greetings and basic words. I tried to comprise by suggesting that they could do it on the weekends and he said that's no good. It's not enough time and too big of a gap between the weekends for her to actually learn Dutch. And I'm being very unfair. Aita. Now for some comments. NTA. This seems like a perfect way to make your daughter hate learning languages when it should be a joy for her. It has been proven that learning a second language before the age of 7 is much easier. Ops probably 3-4-year-old is bilingual. At this point, picking a third language will be very easy for her, even with weekend-only lessons. Her brain has already acquired the flexibility with languages, and any further languages will come much more easily. If she enjoys ballet, let her continue what she wants. NTA. I feel your husband is being unreasonable and a bit immature. While knowing 3 languages would be great for your daughter, your hubby doesn't even know enough to converse with her in Dutch. She'd never get the chance to practice unless she's speaking to her grandparents. Canceling a physical activity to sit in front of a computer is not beneficial for your child in any way. Oys ballet, let her continue what she wants. Husband sounds irrationally jealous about this. Dutch is not widely spoken, and while languages are cool, there's no real disadvantage here. When I lived in the Netherlands, every Dutch person I asked told me not to bother learning it. It doesn't sound like the grandparents can't speak English, so there's no communication barrier. Maybe the husband is more upset that his parents are far away and can't spend time with their granddaughter, and Ops parents will become favorites. I seriously doubt learning Dutch is the root of this argument. NTA. Taking away an activity your daughter loves and forcing her to do something else is just a recipe for disaster. It'll breed a lot of resentment and she likely won't pay attention to the Dutch lessons cause she'll be upset about not being able to do ballet anymore. Your suggestion of weekend lessons is a fantastic compromise as everyone will get what they want. However, after the first few sessions I would suggest asking if your daughter wants to continue the Dutch lessons. You really shouldn't force a kid to do something they don't want unless it's directly related to their health.